So welcome everyone to a webinar series, Decipher the Dating Code, Solving the Mysteries of Dating and Relationship in the 21st Century. My name is Dr. Dan Emzelang, and I'm your moderator for today's workshop. So here's a quick bit about myself. I'm a cognitive behavior psychotherapist and marriage and relationship coach, passionate about helping people build healthy and lasting relationships. So these workshops that we have today explore the many challenges of modern dating, from online interaction and communication struggles to emotional availability and genuine connection. So our goal here is to help you navigate today's complex dating scene with clarity, confidence, and purpose. So joining me today at this workshop is our expert panelist, Lora Cheadle. She's an author and betrayal recovery coach, helping women through the deeply personal process of healing after infidelity. And she will try to bring deep insight and practical knowledge with healing strategies after spouse betrayal. So before we begin the workshop, I'll invite our guest panelist to briefly introduce herself, as no one else can do a better job. Lora, the floor is yours.
Hey, thank you so much. And you did an excellent job introducing me. Thank you for that. I am a former corporate attorney. I left the practice of law because I started realizing that no matter what you're doing, it's all about relationships. Relationships are about relationships, but work is also about relationships. And most importantly, the common denominator is the relationship with yourself and how to manage your own nervous system. And if we can stay regulated, even in the most distressing of times, we have a much better shot at getting whatever it is that we want, whether it's the healthy relationship or the healthy job or just the happy life. So that's when I started moving into coaching and consulting. I also went through an enormous infidelity scenario with my husband. And yes, we are still married after that because of a lot of the work that we both did on regulation, getting to know yourself, making sure that the things that we believe, the stories we tell ourselves are true, because the mind likes to go to the worst case scenario. So we'll definitely be talking about that a little bit today with ghosting as well. But thank you for having me.
Well, it is such a pleasure to have you here today, Laura, and especially attending this workshop. And hopefully that all of our information that we're going to exchange with the discussion together is going to be able to hopefully give some interesting ideas to all of our attendees today. Now, so everyone who's actually attending today's workshop, if you could hold your question at the end of this workshop, we will allocate maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and you could reach out afterwards directly to Laura or me for further advice and feedback about the topics that we will cover today. So let me first start with a real life scenario that I had with one of my patients. Her name is, of course, fictitious name. Her name is Andrea. I'm not going to give her a real one. So Andrea walked into my office one day and she looked tired and very frustrated about the dating scene. She had been navigating through the dating world and felt completely drained by the roller coaster of emotions. So she shared how ghosting, mixed signals, and emotional unavailable partners were leaving her confused, hurt, and questioning her own worth. So we'll be talking about the challenges of being ghosted by connection with what she had with different dating event. She went to do speed dating. She went to go get a matchmaker and so on and so forth. And she felt that every single time she felt that she'd been ghosted by them after 1 or 2 days. So she always was wondering if it was her fault or them, if they were unavailable, mentally unavailable, emotionally unavailable. So I tried to explain to her why ghosting happens. It's not necessarily because of her, but also because of past traumatic relationship issues that the partners had in the past, and also the lack of communication skills. So if anyone is dealing with anything like that, they, instead of like discussing their problems directly with the woman or the man, whatever it is, they will just ghost, they will disappear, because it's easier to have no contact than having to be able to express themselves and show vulnerability. Also, that goes directly with the lack of emotional maturity in men. So obviously, as we all know that, we lack the emotional availability or maturity. And sometimes when a woman goes and try to discuss or try to argue about something that hurt her emotionally, then the men will lack what we call emotional IQ. So again, this always fall in understanding what the other person is expressing, really asking the right appropriate question, and then understanding exactly how to be able to solve the problem together. But that in itself, Andrea always had a difficulty in being able to be open and expressing herself because she was always either ignored or the person was stepping away, or just, like I said, going back to the ghosting part. Now, there's also one thing which a lot of people are practicing a lot, which is closure without contact. So sometimes it's important to move on to relationship, even though she never really got the answers that she needed to have closure in the relationship. And that caused her to either say to yourself, or because we always want to learn from our previous relationship. I think we all agree on that. But then again, sometimes we don't need always all the answers to be able to know that it was not us necessarily who contributed to the demise of the relationship, but it's because the other person also had their demons or their ghost inside of them to be able to have to clarify. So again, it's not always our own mistake. And finally, we discuss about emotional breadcrumbing, which is, I'm not sure if anyone knows what it is, with someone doesn't fully disappear, but never shows up emotionally. So they give you breadcrumbs. So in case they just kind of like give you a little bit just for you to stay interested, but not enough for you to feel that this is committed. So now I'm going to talk directly with Lora, who's going to be able to elaborate a little bit more about the storytelling that we just had, and we'll be able to go further deep down into this ghosting epidemic that we have now because of the availability of mobile dating apps and the many choices that both men and women have in the dating scene. Why is ghosting becoming an epidemic, Laura?
I think you hit a lot of the nails on the head. Poor communication skills is truly what um, I think it's at the core. We are not good at communicating in person with people with the proliferation of cell phones and emails and things like that. We tend to think of people as not really being people. It's just somebody that I've swiped on. It's just a picture. It's an idea. So we don't feel that people are really people. And we treat them more like objects instead of people. And then we don't have very good communication skills. And then we have all of these expectations built up inside of us about what dating means, what it means about me when other people either accept me or reject me. And we internalize all of this. And I think that it's this vicious cycle. We don't see people as people. We're not having good practice face to face. We're all hurt. We're all wounded. We all have this fear of being rejected. So we start rejecting people first or just dropping off so people can't hurt us. So I think that's kind of that big spiral as to why it is happening and why truly it is happening in epidemic proportions.
Mhm.
And I think what's keeping this downward spiral alive too is people are just kind of accepting it. Yeah, it's part of dating. Yeah, it's part of it happens to other people. So yeah, I'm going to do it to other people too. And we've kind of normalized it instead of looked at it with a critical eye and started thinking, you know what? I'm not going to do this. This people have hurt me. I'm going to stay in my integrity and I'm not going to do this to other people.
But aren't we shooting ourselves in our own leg by predicting or anticipating something that may not even happen by rejecting them before they reject us? I mean, there must be some sign, Laura, that the other person feels rejected and they take affirmative action to be the one rejecting the other person first. So isn't that becoming more of a psychological dating warfare?
In part, yes, but also we can't control other people and we don't know other people that well when we first meet them. So to look for signs, yeah, sometimes there's some signs there, but other times most people are very masked. Most people go into dating with that protective armor on. So to expect ourselves to be able to see red flags right at the beginning, that's not necessarily realistic because people have gotten good at this. So sometimes it does take you a while to realize, like, whoa, why did I get sucked into this? Well, I got sucked into it because people are good at hiding things.
Mhm. That's so true. And like you said, after the first, second, or third date, when do you feel that you can actually determine if this person has enough emotional intelligence to move forward?
It's hard because again, there's no hard fast rule about it. I like first tuning into your intuition, and by that it's not the story that they've been telling you, because people can lie. People do lie. People, especially people with true narcissistic personality tendencies, they
Mhm.
do lie and they love bomb, and they will make you feel a certain way. So by intuition, I mean dropping all of that. Oh, I feel so good. Ah, this is finally it. Dropping that story and really asking yourself, do I feel regulated with this person? Do I feel calm with this person? Do I feel like I can be honest with this person? Or do I feel like I'm needing to please them? Do I feel like I'm needing to conform to their idea of what I should be like? And then this is the big one for me. Do I feel like I need to perform? I feel like I need to like football when I don't, or I feel like I need to like hiking when I really don't. Can I truly be in a state of deep presence with this person? And if the answer is yeah, I really feel like I can be present and be regulated with this person, then it's a good time to move forward. Versus if I always am a little bit on edge, let's see what that's about and let's go a little bit more slowly.
Okay, so that's actually an interesting angle there, Laura. But at the same time, that if we try to kind of like become like a chameleon and try to enjoy what the other person like to do, isn't that a part of compromising?
Yes, and I'm saying don't do that. If we're seeking to please, if we're seeking to conform to what they like, or if we're seeking to perform, that's what I mean by tuning in. And if we're doing any of those three things, no, back out.
Okay, I see. And but then when when you go to a point where, let's say, you go out with someone, you have all the where we spoke about understanding what the other person like, they understand what you like, and then the relationship goes well for, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it is. But then after that, suddenly it goes back to square one, which the person now suddenly ghosts you. So if we go with the closure without contact, as I mentioned in the storytelling earlier, um, when do we have to accept that if the person decided to just ghost us and we don't have all of our answers to understand what went wrong because the element of surprise just completely knocked us out, when do we just not further contact with that person and just accept what is going on?
Yeah, truly, I think it's appropriate to have one text or one phone call or one um, email, whatever it is, to say, this is what I'm experiencing. I would love to hear what went wrong. I would love to have a conversation about this. I have no expectations of you. I would just like to know from me. And I think it's important within your own integrity. If it feels right, reach out and be honest and be true and ask for what you want. And then after that one text or one message or one email or whatever it is, I think that's truly the place that we need to go to expect the closure is after once, because otherwise we're in a chase position and we do not want to be in that chase position.
That is so true. But then again, okay, so that's an interesting question where a lot of people have the tendency to be able to either blame themselves for the demise of the relationship or blame the other person. Now, we all have to take accountability and responsibility for our own share in the success or the failure of a relationship or any relationship. But then when we look at the dynamic of it, if one person has been constantly honest and I have done everything to be able to make that work. And the other person was really fleeting when things didn't go their way. Um, yeah, you could, like it could be universal. You could blame the other one. Hey, they didn't contribute equally to what I did. But then if this happened over and over again, who is the common denominator then?
Again, yes, and you are the common denominator. And when you're dealing with, especially like online dating or dating on the apps, there is a certain numbers game. So, yes, take it all with a grain of salt. It absolutely could be you. And how can you, one, self-reflect? How can you talk to some trusted friends or some family members who really know who you are so you can get some clear, objective feedback? Like, you know what, Laura, I love you. And I'm only saying this because you're asking me, but you do have a tendency to dominate conversations, or you do have a tendency to sound critical. And I know you don't mean to sound critical. Like, if you can get some honest feedback from people who really know you,
Mhm.
then yeah. And if you're seeing a coach or a therapist, ask some questions about that, read some books, listen to some podcasts. But really, truly, take it with a grain of salt because the dating world is moving so quickly and we are in a very throwaway society. And even if something happens to you 5 times in a row, it still might not completely be about you.
Okay, but then okay, so here now I'm going to talk a little bit with in a clinical perspective. But we have PTSD, which is obviously everyone knows, which is the post-traumatic stress disorder. But we also have PTRS, which is post-traumatic relationship syndrome, and we have the tendency, especially if we have had a very turbulent childhood, where we're going to always be attracted to a certain type of person that will either mentally abuse us or physically abuse us, and we tend to make the same mistake over and over again by attracting those specific type of people. So if then at this point in time, Laura, if we have that tendency, then it is all us, even though if we try to do everything in our power to be able to say,
Mm-hmm.
well, this relationship, I will be a different person. I will make the changes that I need to make to be able to become a better person. But bottom line, if you show vulnerability, you're going to attract a lot of narcissistic behaviors. If there's an empath, obviously empath and narcissism goes hand in hand because they're like exactly like magnets. So when can this person start changing their whole personality to start avoiding dealing with the same people from the previous relationship that they had?
Yeah, it all starts with awareness. What are the tendencies that I have that attract that kind of dynamic? So when you've got the awareness, okay, I tend to be an overgiver. Okay, I tend to move too fast too soon. Okay, I tend to do all of these things. When you know what those tendencies are, that's where you can start self reflecting and questioning yourself. Am I moving too quick? Wow, I dated him 3 times and I said, I love you. Yeah, I think that's moving too quick. You know, that self reflection is powerful. One of the things that I recommend people do is when they're in a healthy single state to kind of make some notes of these are the things that I've done over and over and over again, and to have it written out. So then because we like to fool ourselves. Well, I
Mhm.
did it last time, and the only reason it didn't work was because they were totally crazy. Where if you have it written out, you can be like, yeah, I'm lying to myself right now. I do have a tendency to do this. And then you can start stopping. And again, having a coach, having a therapist, having somebody who can advise you, slow down, stop. Okay, that is him driving you to and from work every day. That's creepy. That's not nice. That's creepy. Where you can bounce these ideas off of somebody so you can start slowly changing and slowly showing up differently.
Okay, so then how do you go with dealing with people who just give you the minimum, keep your hopes up all the time, and like disappearing, coming back, hey, how you doing? Well, I was busy with this, I was busy with that. Just not enough to be able to really substantially make you feel that you are in an integrated part of the relationship, but yet always being there in the shadow to make you
Mm-hmm.
feel that this is someone that you can rely on. So this is what we call the emotional breadcrumbing. So how do you know that these are the signs, these are the red flags that are coming to surface?
Yeah, truly, if this has happened more than 3 times, it's probably emotional breadcrumbing. Yes, people legitimately get busy. Yes, sometimes people can't show up. But if you notice that this is a pattern, it's not only happened once, it's happened again, and here we go again, then that is on you to put up the boundaries around that. If somebody is truly in a bad time, You can have that conversation with them later, but that is on you to put up those boundaries because we get what we tolerate. So
Mhm.
are you going to tolerate that? If you're going to tolerate it, you're going to keep getting it. And if you're done tolerating it, it's time to move on.
So okay, so and you being the an expert in like in the healing after like after cheating, whatever. When do you feel that there's no possible remediation in the relationship, which means that if the other person doesn't show full transparency about everything they do, to be able to show to you that you could trust them again, um, in like years and years of marriages, I mean, it depends if it's early on in the marriage, does it have the same impact as if it's 10, 15 years into the marriage?
Um, yes and no.
Okay.
Obviously with time it's harder because you've built up so much of your life. You've commingled finances, you probably have families and friends and everything, so it's harder in that there is more connection and there's more to potentially separate, but the emotional impact is the same if it's 5 years or if it's 15 years. But a lot of that goes back to what you were saying about, like, you got to change yourself. Do you truly notice is if this relationship is going to work, you both have to change yourself. It's not just promises. It's not just the cheating partner saying, I promise I'm not going to do it anymore. I see the errors of my way. Are they a different person? Are they showing up consistently differently day in, day out?
Mhm.
And then are you showing up consistently different day in, day out? Because if you both have committed to that, then yes, you can make this work. And no, lip service and promises, that doesn't do much. It's action.
Absolutely. Now, overall, for the ones who's going to be able to listen to this workshop, they want to be able to take something substantial out of everything that we just said. Now, obviously, we can go on and talk for 6, 7 hours, and we have just basically scratched the surface of the dating world. So, in your mind, Laura, what kind of, I would say, I'm not going to ask for a prediction, but with everything that's going on online with the dating and we talking about the ghosting epidemic, do you see anything changing soon? Is it going to be something that's going to get worse or is it going to get better?
I think things will get a little bit worse before it gets better. Because what is going on right now, I think it's really forcing us to get clear about who we are and what we want and what we will and what we won't tolerate. And really, the online dating world is still new in the scheme of things. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And it's so exciting. It's like this catalog out there, and we're like, woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
And we're slowly starting to realize, no, these are humans. And it's not about how I can change myself to match with this person. It's how I can be solid in me and how I can allow others to be solid in them and how we can find cohesion and connection and trust and truth within that. And I think we're on the precipice of really having that change. We've been through the little heyday and it's going to get better, but I do think it's going to take a bit.
But with everything that we see more and more dating apps coming out, and we have heard that Match.com and the conglomerate of Match.com have lost billions and billions of dollars because a lot of subscription has been canceled because people
Mm-hmm.
no longer believe in online dating. They prefer face-to-face interaction because this is
Yes.
more genuine. So if that is the case, um, do you feel that the if the whole network of online dating will either weaken or solidify?
I think it's going to get smaller because I think you're absolutely right. People want to meet people in person. We're getting better now at introducing friends. We're getting better now at some of that communication. So the number of people dating online will get smaller. And I think with the proliferation of apps, now we will have very clearly, this is the hookup app. This is where people are going to hang out there. This is the I'm serious, I really want to date app. I've been there, I've done that. I'm wise and I'm really ready to focus. So I think each lane is going to become more and more solid and more clear. And then we can self funnel and self direct. Yep, this is where I want to be. This is where I don't want to be.
Oh, that's actually, I mean, the day that this will come where it's going to be a clear path to which every of those dating app represents, based on people's interest or intentions, I would say more
Yeah.
intention than interest. I think that now people will know, like, I think everyone knows about Tinder as being
Oh
more
yeah.
upside, or Bumble, where the woman selects, and Hinge and all the others. So I think what you're saying now, it's already going in motion now. We already
Hmm.
know this is what we expect as each of those dating app, what kind of intention people who are signing up they have towards going into dates. So I think this is actually becoming more and more relevant in the dating scene. But there's another thing as well before we're going to allow our attendees to be able to ask questions. We see more and more people not believing in marriage anymore. I mean, men are too afraid to be able to get into it. They're too set in their ways. Women, as you and I know, are 81% the one initiating for divorce. And the sanctity of marriage is no longer present. People don't trust it anymore. People don't believe in it anymore. So, do you think there's going to be a diminishing effect in the amount of marriage licenses being, like recorded in every single state? And do you feel that states now, they will see that there's such a huge disconnect in people wanting to get married, and now they're going to have to take action by saying, we're going to have to change the laws because it's unfair towards men?
I think a lot of the problem has to do with the fact that we have one definition of marriage, and most people don't want to fall into that exact definition of marriage. It is an outdated definition.
Mhm.
And as we learn to create our own definition, this works for me, this works for me,
Mhm.
so many people are cohabitating now. That's why we have like the common law marriages and the common law divorces, because people are saying, I don't want that, but I want a life partner. And even think about the terms that we're using. It's I want a life partner. I want a partner. I think it's just a definitions term. And as soon as we culturally kind of break out of the idea that marriage means the man does this, the woman does this, we do that, and we sit in rocking chairs on the front porch when we turn, you know what I mean, 70. And like once we start breaking out of that and realize it is a relationship, it's how we relate. We all get to relate differently, and we get to define what that means for us. That's where I think this is all going.
Beautiful. Now we have Barbara. If you want to be able to ask question to hold on a second. If you could unmute and ask a question, or I'm not sure. Yeah, go ahead,
Here we
Barbara.
go.
I don't have a question. I'm a therapist, so none of
Oh,
it's
nice.
really very new to me. But I was just interested because I'm also in the dating scene. So yeah,
It's crazy out there.
so there
But
are different personalities with different aspects that confuse things too, that make it more difficult.
so do you think that as a therapist yourself, just like me, Barbara, do you feel that you kind of overanalyze every single person that you're going to date with, and by psychoanalyzing them, it creates a world of assumption that you have, and you just do not give the chance to the other person because you can somewhat predict their behavior?
I have been accused of that
Okay.
for sure. And I try not to let it get in the way, but I think I may be more vulnerable because I am a therapist and I may give them passes where I might, because I would my patient, and sometimes that gets, the lines can blur. I have to be careful.
Yeah.
But I can also diagnose like crazy for someone else and not for myself necessarily. That's a problem.
Isn't
Afterwards,
that true?
all I can see everything.
But do you tell them upfront that you are a psychotherapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and let them know that, you know what, your bullshit is not going to go through with me?
I've also, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm more vulnerable because I'm involved. Surgeon
Yeah.
can't operate on their wife or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I'm more involved. But yeah, it comes out, and a lot of times I remember a date, I heard things I didn't want to hear. Oh, you're a therapist. What about this?
So you're becoming,
I
so
was
you're
like,
there.
I'm
Yeah.
I mean, it was like stuff I might have had to do something with. It was a little like, some of our ethics where you have to report things, and that was
Hmm.
fun. I ended
Hmm.
it.
And I think, you know what, you're right. It is becoming increasingly difficult, and not just the fact because we have the additional skills or abilities to be able to psychoanalyze people, but at the same time, those who do not have the amount of knowledge that we have acquired throughout our education, you and I, Barbara, we other people are not at an advantage, and they unfortunately fall for the easy scam that we see those romance scams out there, and they fall for it. I mean, if you just look at 90 Day Fiance, I mean, I was
Oh,
following that before, and I just, sometimes I'm flabbergasted by the amount of stupidity the men have to fall by sending thousands of dollars in to a stranger that they've never met in the hope that they are going to be real and they're not being catfished or anything like that. So this is becoming very common, catfishing. This is
It's
not the real person that we see online.
Yeah, and I've been a therapist. I've stopped some of those. I've actually seen a really bad one before too.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
And they're from other countries sitting behind their computer doing this. It's very hard for the police to catch it.
But haven't people learned their lesson? I mean, aren't they, or do they have their head in the sand like ostriches to be able to not see what's going on around them?
I don't think they see it. A lot of people just don't have that ability. They get caught in it. You have to point it out sometimes. I mean, I've had to point it out.
Because we all think it's
No.
going to happen to other people. It's not going to happen to me
Oh, I think,
because I'm aware.
Yeah,
so.
self-aware or lack
Yeah, right.
of.
They're more sophisticated. It can happen to anyone, I really think, depending.
Yeah.
That's so true. But so before we conclude today's workshop, and thank you so much, Barbara, for your feedback as well. It's good to have a colleague in the field of psychology to be able to give her out in her input about what the dangers are out there. And like I said, we could go on for hours to talk about the romance scams and helping people to try to avoid them. But like Laura said, we think that it will never happen to us. So we have to have our eyes open, our ears open, and not to have our heart in our sleeves. Basically, this is the best advice that I can give. But Laura, can you let everyone know how can they reach out to you in case they need any additional support?
Yeah, absolutely. My email is laura@loracheadle.com, and that's LoraCheadle. And then my website is also lauracheadle.com.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for taking the time out of your busy Sunday afternoon to join us and engage with the valuable tip and advice that you shared today. And we look also forward to all of our upcoming workshop that we have all through 2026 until November, featuring expert panelists and a wide range of engaging topic focused on dating and relationships. So I would like to wish everyone a wonderful rest of your Sunday afternoon. And thank you to all the attendees who actually did show up. And we look forward to connecting with you very, very soon.